Seeds are basic commodities in agriculture. They are the only commodity enabling people to work in increased productivity in the field. Thanks for joining us on The Ghanaian Farmer. Our focus this week is on rice breeding, and we are all the way in Crops Research Institute in Fumeswa and Kumasi in the Ashanti region. We'll be chit-chatting with the Deputy Director of Crops Research Institute, Dr. Asante for short. He's also a rice breeder. He'll be enlightening us, the general viewers, farmers, agric enthusiasts, potential farmers, to know where the seeds you're growing in your field come from, what goes into it, the various process or stages it goes through. I'm going for a quick breather. When I come back, Doc will tell me more about this process, but you can get interactive wherever it is you're watching us from, on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, The Ghanaian Farmer. I'll be right back after this break. Stay tuned. Thanks for staying. If you just tune in, you're watching The Ghanaian Farmer on Joy Prime Television, and the spotlight today is on rice breeding here in Crops Research Institute, right here in Fumeswa in the Ashanti region. Doc, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, you are welcome to our institute.
Thank you very much. So briefly, if anybody hears the word Crops Research Institute, briefly enlighten us about what you do here.
Okay, so Crops Research Institute is one of the institutes under the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. In fact, we are the largest of all the 13 institutions. And we work on all the food crops, the cereals, rice and maize, the legumes, we have soya bean, we have cowpea, we even work on bambara, many other legumes. We also work on vegetables and tree crops. We work on tomatoes, we work on pepper, we work on garden eggs, and then a few tree crops like oranges and mangoes and even cashew. So we work in the crops space.
Okay.
And basically we do research. So it covers the breeding of the seed and all the agronomy. Agronomy is how to grow it. All the agronomy associated with it, integrated pest management, so that we also research into how best to manage pests, including weeds and even water and all that. So we do comprehensive research into crop breeding and how well you can produce it in the field.
Okay. In your line of work, after going through this process, who do you deal with before it gets to the farmer? Or can the farmer come to you direct to pick what you produce?
Well, so what we do, as I mentioned earlier on, is to develop the varieties.
Right.
And it's not as simple as I say it.
Okay.
That's a long, painstaking process. Once that is done, we actually have teams around us, socio-economists who interview the farmers on what they want, the pest management people, the seed scientists. So we all come together to develop these varieties. Once we develop it, our agronomists and pest management specialists will recommend packages. So maybe this one can be grown with 2 bags per acre of NPK. You top it up with urea. So it goes out with that package. Okay. Then we take it out. Mainly our immediate clients are Ministry of Agri.
Okay.
The extension group, right, who are supposed to take it to the farmers.
The
but we do a little more than that.
Okay.
We also end up doing a lot of extension as well.
Right.
But our main focus is the technology development.
Okay. Our focus today is on rice breeding. What is rice breeding?
Okay, breeding is just coming out with something that you want, something new. Okay, so when we say rice breeding, what we practically do as rice breeders is to breed for varieties, come out with varieties that the consumers want. And the process, as I mentioned earlier, is that it's not, for us, it's not an academic thing at all. We study what the market wants. So in Ghana, we know that the market wants long grain aromatic rice, the jasmine type. So we breed for such varieties. And the breeding process is that you virtually don't get all that you want in a single plant or a single variety. So then you have to make crosses. When you are doing crosses, the thing you are doing is that you are bringing different traits from different plants to combine them in one variety to meet consumer needs.
Okay.
So that is the process. So we make a lot of rice crosses here because it is a game of numbers.
Okay.
The more you do, the more you are likely to hit something which is very good for the consumers.
You kept mentioning varieties.
Yes.
How many varieties do you breed?
Okay, so for now we have released over 20 rice varieties for the market. But during the process of breeding, we start with many, uncountable, because one cross, normally here, when we do one cross, we generate 500 different lines from it. And they are individual lines which can all end up in varieties. But they are different recombinations of genes from the parents.
Okay.
So we do a lot of trials.
Right.
And we end up picking only the best.
Okay.
Because we could go out with all the 2,000. It's not beneficial for marketing purposes. So as for the varieties, if you talk about varieties, we develop thousands of lines every year. But the one that will eventually end up with the farmer is only one or two.
Okay.
The best.
Right.
Yes.
Are there steps in rice breeding, and what are they?
Yes, we go through painstaking processes to come out with the variety. So as I mentioned earlier, we start with the market end.
Okay.
We have social scientists and agri-economists who know how to talk to people, consumers and farmers.
Who eat the rice in the house.
Exactly.
Okay.
We don't, because for us, our work is not academic at all.
Okay.
We do actual work that benefits the farm. That's why when you go to the field, you see our varieties there.
Okay.
Agri rice is everywhere. So we start with that together with the breeder, because we are biologists. So the social scientists are trained to talk to consumers.
Okay.
So we start with that. They go out with the field with us and talk to the consumers about exactly what they want.
Okay.
So through that we develop what we call a product profile, and that is what the breeders are supposed to shoot for. So for now, the consumers and the farmers tell us that the most important traits that we must focus on is high yield.
Okay.
We have to get something that yields at least 6 tons per hectare or more. Then you have to get something which is long grain. You have to get something which is perfume. We call it perfume, but the technical name is aroma.
Okay.
We call people think it's spray that we put.
Yeah.
No, it is the nature of the rice.
Okay.
Some rice are aromatic, some are not aromatic. So they ask us to focus on aroma. The farmers who are producing it, they have challenges with some diseases. The most important ones are what rice yellow mottle virus. It's a viral disease, so viruses is difficult to control with chemicals. So the best way to control it is to breed for resistance, and then rice blast, and then of course drought has become very important.
Yeah.
So we also breed for tolerance to drought. So those are the things that we focus on. So once we know what the consumers and the farmers want, then you have to select parents. That is different rice, because as I told you earlier, you hardly find all these traits in one variety.
Yeah.
So that is why we have to make crosses.
Okay.
So for instance, one variety is already good in yield, it's long grain already, but it does not have resistance to a disease or to drought. So we find something that is tolerant to drought, then we cross it. Okay. The aim is to combine all the traits that the farmers want into one variety. Okay. That will serve the farmers and the consumers. Right. So for rice, consumer preference is so important, because you can have something which is very high yielding in the field, but the taste is that nobody wants to eat it. So end user or consumer traits are so important to us. Yeah. So once we make those crosses, you come out with what we call the F1.
Okay.
That is the first generation, like a man and a woman has come together and given a baby.
Yeah.
That's the first generation. So that is what we call our F1.
Okay.
But when you grow that F1 plant, okay, which it will have 50% of the genome of the mother and of the father. But once you go to the next level, when you grow in the next generation, we have something we call segregation. There's a lot of gene recombination.
Okay.
So there's a lot of combination of different traits from from the two parents, if I must say. So one parent will combine these traits with this trait, but will not have this trait.
Right.
So it is like the crude example I usually give is those who stake lotto. You know,
Right.
5 numbers.
Yes.
How many numbers can you perm out of it? Sometimes 100
Yes.
different combinations.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yes.
So you cross 2 plants, but you get
A lot.
1,000 different combinations.
Okay.
Then you not get all what you want in the lines. So you now have to go through selection. So I like the way the French people call breeders. They call it selectionnaire.
Okay.
All we do is selecting every day.
Okay.
So you select based on your product profile.
Okay.
But that is not all. Once you cross and you find even if you find all the combinations you want in the F2 generation, it does not end there. The way the plant works is that once you cross it, it doesn't stabilize easily. You have to grow it for about 6 times.
Okay.
So you are now fixing the gene.
Right.
So the gene is there, but you have to go through a process of fixing it. So you select and you grow it again, and you select until you have grown it around 6 times, around the F6 generation. Then you know that if I give this plant to Enyonam, when he goes to grow it, it will be the same plant that he will get.
Okay.
If you select something at F2, no matter how good it is, and you give it to the farmer, it will segregate.
Okay.
He will not get the same type of plant.
Right.
So once we now stabilize the land, the line, it becomes the variety that we want. But it doesn't end there too. You now have to multiply the seed and do what we call yield trials.
Okay.
Because the important thing the farmer wants is yield.
Yes.
So it has to grow where the farmers are growing it. Because the environment you grow is important. You cannot just grow at CRI here at Fumesua and you have high yields and you think it will grow everywhere
in the other part
so
of the
we do what we
regions.
call multi-locational trials.
Okay.
We grow in all the agroecologies in Ghana.
Right.
Then eventually, if it meets our standards in terms of yield, in terms of reaction to diseases, in terms of taste, in terms of appearance, then we compile all that dossier in the form of data, and then data in the form of a dossier. Then there's what we call variety release and registration committee. They will come and vet all that data, and also we have to show them the field and see whether the data matches what is in the field. Then they will decide that this is a good enough variety. Then we can release it to farmers. We have not ended there. Then people like the seed scientists
Right.
and the private sector will now multiply the seed
Okay.
and have to make it available to farmers all over. So
Okay.
as you can see, it's a long,
Now I understand.
painstaking
Now, correct. I was about to
process.
use the word. Now I understand what you say. It's a painstaking process. Okay, Doc. So after going through these painstaking process, at what point do we see this? What we see far away over there, or what we see here?
Yes. So what you see here immediately are some of the very early lines.
Okay.
So those ones were the one that I was talking about,
Right.
the F2s.
Okay.
They are segregating. So you see,
Right.
one plate contains 240 plants.
Right.
So for each cross, we will have at least 2 of this.
Okay.
We carry out around 500 plants forward for each floor. But eventually, so we have this method to hasten our breeding program.
Okay.
We could have taken it to the field. But at this stage, what we want to do is to fix it,
Okay.
fix the gene.
Right.
And then when we go to the field, we start our selection.
Okay.
So these are the F2s. We grow it here up to around F6. Then those ones you see, they are already varieties.
Okay.
So they are, when you see, they are different varieties. That's why you see some of them tall, some of them short. Yes. So after going through this process, you eventually get to what is there.
Okay. So what is the importance of the rice breeding actually?
It is so important. So, for instance, rice originates from West Africa. There are two types of rice. There's an African rice, which we call it Oryza glaberrima. The origin is from West Africa. And then Oryza sativa, which is from Asia. Okay. If you see the original rice from Africa, it is just so poor in yield that you cannot have an industry out of it. The same way with the original rice from Asia.
Okay.
So it is plant breeders and farmers. In fact, farmers were the first breeders who select. Okay, so if you select something that is good, it is likely to yield its kind. So that is what breeders and farmers have done over the years, and we have gotten better plants. So, for example, in maize, the ancestor of maize, we call it teosinte. If you see teosinte, you marvel. It's nothing like maize.
Right.
It's like my finger.
Okay.
So it is farmers and breeders who have selected it for you to get those high yielding crops. So when you see those nice things in the supermarket, in the grocery, somebody like me is at the background who have worked over the years
for me to see the final product.
For you to see the
okay. Doc, when we arrive at the center, we've seen a couple of plastic bowls. We've seen bamboo stakes, we've seen tags, we've seen, areas demarcated with water and all that. Can you explain the essence of these in rice breeding?
Yes, so as I said, so people use different methods in doing the rice breeding, but it is the same principle. When you cross, you go through a long process of stabilizing the line and then selecting. So all this infrastructure has been built in such a way that when we make our initial crosses, we'll be able to stabilize the lines here. It makes it cheaper and faster. And then we can go to the field and select what is best for the farmers. So the tags you see are for different crosses. And then this horticultural place you see, it is just to hasten our breeding process. Because at this stage, what we need is just the seed. We don't care about yield or anything. Because the seed, once we get the seed, we grow it again very fast. So that around F6, we get stable lines. Then once we take it to the field, we start the selection process. So, I like your question because breeding requires some level of funding. In fact, very big levels of funding. So there are private breeding companies like Bayer, like Monsanto, with a high turnover, big money, billion-dollar industries. Okay, so you have to put in some money to be able to get what you want. So for instance, if a breeder is in the US and is making 100 rice crosses a year, he has the facilities to be able to evaluate 100 rice crosses a year, and you only have facilities to evaluate 3 crosses a year, the likelihood of him getting higher sources is better than yours. But breeding is also a game of numbers. The more numbers you have, the likely you are able to shoot at something which is very good. Yeah. So we all this is for a purpose. We are doing the labeling. We have built our own modest infrastructure for us to do our initial selection and our initial crosses here.
But is this the standard facility for rice breeding?
Well, we could get something which is much better. Yes, but we based on our resources, it is what we have, and it works quite well. Even though I'll use this opportunity to appeal to government and private people to help us with more investment into these kinds of things, because these kinds of things are not things that people see on TV. So it's not attracted to them to fund it. But we need support to fund these kinds of things.
I also realized there's some nets covering the entire crops. Why the net?
Well, so every proper greenhouse has a net. Because you don't want intrusion. Yeah. So basically, but for rice is so important because their best friends is birds. So if you don't protect it from birds, by the time you come from one weekend, all your work is gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. So and then so generally from intrusion, even from human beings, because we eventually lock it when we are not here.
All right. So you're still watching the Ghanaian Farmer on Joy Prime Television. My name is Enyunam, and my guest is the Deputy Director and also a rice breeder here in Crops Research Institute in Fumeswa in Kumasi, Ashanti region. Our focus is on rice breeding. We want to enlighten our farmers, investors in the agriculture space, agric enthusiasts, students, or everybody who loves agriculture. You should know the basics, where it starts from before you see on the field, and of course on the shelves that you go to buy and make your choices. I don't like this one, the face is not looking nice. This one is nice. This one is smelling nice. This one doesn't smell nice. This one tastes nice. A lot of things. You go and make choices. And start right from here. I'm going to sip some water. When I come back, I'll talk a bit more about disease. If doc says they check for disease, and how come still farmers face disease issues and all that in the field? I'll be right back after this. Stay tuned with me. Thanks for staying. If you're just tuning in, you're watching the Ghanaian Farmer. Get interactive. Share your questions with us. If you have any views, you have more questions, just let us hear from you, whatever it is that you're watching. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, the Ghanaian Farmer. Doc, so I was saying that in your presentation, was enlightening us about rice breeding. You mentioned you identify which disease, attack them, and work on it before it gets to the field. How come still farmers get issues with disease and all that in the field?
Yes, so there are 2 or 3 reasons for that. So most of the initial varieties we release, we have we focused mainly on yield and the grain quality.
Okay.
The initial. So, for example, our Agra variety in the field, we know it has challenges with diseases.
Okay.
So we have brought it back and we have improved it.
Okay.
In terms of disease resistance, we will get it back to the farmers.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one thing. The second thing is that just like the corona thing that we experience, with new strains coming up every year. So even if you have disease, you have inserted disease resistance gene into a variety, over time, the pathogens to have to eat.
Okay.
So to say. So they also evolve.
Okay.
And then a few of them which are able to overcome, they now become their population increases in the system. Then you see that the disease resistance in the varieties will start coming down.
Okay.
So that is why you must continuously fund your scientists.
Okay.
Because it is not one thing that you put in the field and then what do we call it in the South African language? Ubinto or whatever they call it. It's done. No. You always have to come back and work. Okay. So you must continuously fund your scientists. So,
so rice growers who are in Ghana, what is that variety you would recommend when they are going to start their farm they should buy when they go to the shops, the agric shops?
So now we already have very popular varieties in the field. Agra rice is there. It's a very good variety. We have a new one called Enapa, fairly new, especially those in the rain-fed lowland. Afrom, we do our Afrom. Enapa is an excellent variety, tolerant to diseases, high yielding, even tolerant to drought.
The Enapa.
Enapa, yes.
Enapa or Enampa?
Enapa, like good mother.
Okay, me I like fish, so I thought it's Enampa.
And then just last year, we released one called Ejapa.
Ejapa.
So not many of the farmers know of it now.
Okay.
Because we are now promoting it in under the irrigated areas. So that one too excellent.
So
high
Agra,
yielding,
Enampa,
Ejapa. Good mother, good father. And then of course a few years ago, around 2019, we together with Legon released one ex-biker. It's called ex-biker.
Okay.
That one too is a good variety.
That a farmer can actually go get.
Especially in the irrigated areas. Yes.
Does crops research also sell some of the seeds you
Yes, we do. Actually, all the what we call the early generation or foundation seeds come from here.
Okay.
So especially for seed growers, you know, we are supposed to have certified seed growers who will give the seed to the farmers.
Yes.
But they have to take the basic seed from us.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do sell the early generation seed. But even
To seed growers.
To seed growers.
And not to farmers.
No, even for farmers.
Can they walk to you
yes,
and buy from
they
you?
They can.
Okay.
Because we promote, we want to promote the varieties. When farmers come, we don't turn them away. Even though our seed is higher grade seed, foundation seed, but we give them a discount.
Okay.
And sell it to them just to promote
the
varieties. But the normal process is for us to do the early generation seed.
Okay.
And then the certified seed growers and companies will pick it up. And then they are supposed to be close to the farmers.
Okay.
But sometimes the seed system doesn't work that well.
Okay.
So sometimes a farmer can travel from as far as Takwa. They know the value of good seed.
Okay.
So if they come here, I cannot turn them away.
Right.
We give them seed if we have it.
Okay. So Dr. Asante, we are going to the session where we'll see crossing pollination. I don't know. I'm learning. Me and you, we are learning today crossing and pollination. But then we will be wrapping up there. I'd want to know about your challenges in this line of operation, and of course the very, very key thing that you would request from, being it private investors or even government or donors, would also mention that. So viewers, come with me once we go to the session where doctor will go across the man and a woman, and then we'll see what will happen over there.